Hey now! What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB, and this is my 31 days of horror movie reviews. And I lied. I lied because in my last video, I said that the next review I would be doing would be the remake of The Fly. But after I watched the original Fly movie, 1958, when I looked it up to do my research and to get my notes, I saw that there was a sequel to this movie. And I never knew that, obviously, right? It was my first time watching the original one, and I thought to myself, should I just impromptu, add the sequel to my list? And switch some stuff around. So that's what I did. I watched the sequel to The Fly called Return of the Fly. This came out just 1 year later, 1959, which is wild because I'm not surprised that the first movie was a big hit, so they decided, let's make this goddamn sequel. I'm just surprised the turnaround was 1 year, especially for the 50s. I thought that was something that studios did more recently, more in the 2000s, where they're like, oh shit, let's rush and make the sequel as quick as possible. No, they were doing that all the way back then. What's also surprising is that the budget for the original movie was $500,000. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but given the time period, maybe it's a decent amount for a horror film. I'm sure horror was looked at a certain way by mainstream Hollywood. But this sequel, if the first movie was actually as big of a hit as I'm expecting, why did the sequel get half the budget? This one is $225,000. That's wild. That's a huge decrease. It almost makes you wonder, why did we bother trying to make a sequel if we're not going to try to raise the bar, raise the look of it, the practicalness of it. Either way, this movie is directed by Edward Burns. And the plot. The plot is we see Philippe, the little boy from the original movie, Andre's son. You see, he's now grown up. This is just 1 year later, and I'm watching it right after. Clearly, it's supposed to be years later. I don't know exactly how old Philippe is supposed to be now. He looks like he's 35 years old, but he's probably not that old, or at least the character's not that old. Maybe the actor is. I don't know. He's played by Brett Hasley, so obviously not the same actor, not the same little boy. And his mother passed away. You start the movie off with a funeral, and I thought to myself, wow, we just killed off the wife from the last movie. We killed off the mother. We're just done with her completely. I wonder if that actress was like, what the fuck? I didn't get a phone call back. I was a big part of that first movie. Anyways, one thing I do appreciate is Vincent Price is not only back as Francois, but he gets way more to do in this movie than he did in the original, because Philippe kind of sort of blackmails Francois into helping him continuing the work of his father. And I know what you're thinking. Why the fuck would Philippe do some shit like this? Especially after the scene where Francois tells him what the experiments did to his father, what happened to his father, how he died, basically had his wife kill him because he was turned into this mutilated creature. And Philippe hears that story and says, well, that's all well and good, but I want to continue this work. And Vincent Price is like, what the fuck? Did you not just hear what I told you? This is dangerous. Look what it did to your father. And Philippe is like, well, that won't happen to me. I'll be more careful. And you hear that and you go, yes, of course, you'll be more careful. Even though the whole point of the sequel is that this happens again. And as the movie goes on, there's actually a whole lot of other stuff going on in the background. Basically, it leads to, you guessed it, the return of the Fly. Now, what I thought of this sequel was shockingly, I did not hate this movie. You know, I was surprised over how much I enjoyed this, the original film, how much I wasn't like disappointed or let down or bored by it. But this sequel, I had absolutely less hope for. I just figured this was a cash grab, and it was. And I just figured this would be lower in quality, and it was. It's definitely not as good as that first film. It's definitely, you know, if somebody saw this and said it was bad, I wouldn't argue with them. I wouldn't disagree. I would be like, yeah, there's a lot of things about this movie that might not work for somebody who enjoys the first one. But I will say this, out of all of the potential sequels that you could make with The Fly, out of all of the things that you could do with this to try to make this work, having the son continue on the work of his father, I mean, it makes sense. Like on paper, if this is pitched in the studio, I'm not completely rolling my eyes, even though, like I said, I had that reaction to Philippe of like, really? This is what you're doing? It makes you a little frustrated with him, but you get it. And also, they found a sensible way to have Vincent Price be involved, right? Because at first he's not with it, he doesn't want anything to do with it. But when he sort of threatens to sell his shares of the same company, and it could cause the company to fail, like Vincent Price has no choice at that point. So I'm like, okay, they explain why he eventually has to go along with this. What I was surprised about was that it wasn't what I was expecting, as far as Philippe just volunteering himself or behind Vincent Price's back, experimenting on himself like his father, and then turning into this fly. That would be the easy way out. Now, I was surprised that they had this other character, Ronald Holmes, who works with this dealer guy, and he says, hey, if I can get myself involved with this experiment, if I can steal their experiment, we can take this for ourselves and make money off of it. And so that's what he's doing. He's there, he's pretending to be Philippe's friend, Philippe's partner, but behind his back he's scheming and doing things. And at first I thought Philippe was dumb, believing this guy's lies. I'm like, it's so obvious that he's stealing your shit. But then it's like, okay, no, Philippe actually is on to him, and they have a scuffle. They go at it. Ronald knocks Philippe out and puts him in the machine. He forces Philippe into this machine, and also, it's fucked up. I don't know exactly why he does this. I mean, I guess to be a dick. He catches a fly that's been flying around the room and puts the fly in the same machine. So, of course, it turned Philippe into this fly. And I thought, wow, not only is this unexpected of how we got the return of the fly, but it made me actually feel really bad for Philippe. Like, this is fucked up. This happened to him against his will. And so from that point on, I found myself sort of feeling bad for the Philippe character, seeing him as this grotesque monster going around, and he kind of goes on a murderous spree because, like, Vincent Price is trying to figure out, is he more fly-minded now? Is he just sort of going around? Is he out of control? Is there any part of the human brain still left? And that is the debate on, do you have to kill this thing or not? So all of that I found interesting. All of that I was willing to go along with. Before Philippe gets turned into the fly, though, there is one inspector character who's on to Ronald and watching him, surveilling him. And he catches him in the act, but Ronald once again knocks this guy out. Again, before Philippe, he puts the inspector into the machine. And because they had already experimented on a guinea pig, this inspector turns into a half guinea pig thing where his arms and feet are guinea pig like legs. It's the goofiest thing. I'm actually impressed that they went for it, as silly as that looked. You have that one moment when the small fly has the head of Philippe that looked goofy as hell. I guess I should also mention that there was these French maids, and there was the younger one played by Danielle de Metz, and she's a French actress, so the French accent was legit. I was like, is Philippe hitting that? Like, because they have like a weird flirty relationship, and everyone else comments about how hot she is. And I just was trying to figure out what's the relationship, because there's no way that she just is living in the house as a maid, but there's nothing else going on. I smell bullshit. I don't buy it. It's also curious that Philippe kept going on about how he needed Vincent Price's help to fund this project, but yet he still lived in a big, nice house with maids. Like, he clearly had money. I guess these experiments were that expensive. Now, I probably shouldn't get into the ending. I will just say that the ending surprised me. It was a pleasant surprise, this ending, especially compared to the original. So, guys, I shockingly had some fun with Return of the Fly. I guess I talked about the budget being half of the original. The only real negative I have, or the biggest negative I have, is that when Philippe turns into a fly, it looks so much cheaper and worse than the original Fly, like, mask from the original film. It's so much bigger, but, like, maybe they wanted it to be bigger and scarier and grosser, but it just looked too big. There was even one scene when Philippe is having to run out of the place into the woods, and he's clearly having to hold the helmet or the mask or the head or whatever, because it's so big, it would probably just fall right off. Like, it didn't look real at all. It just looked super goofy. Other than that, I thought the movie was solid. It was decent, especially for a sequel, a 1-year follow-up. This should have been a lot worse, and I didn't hate it. Let me know in the comments below if you too saw The Return of the Fly. Did you like it as well? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!
Swimming in beers, I've been through it all, let me trickle a tear. In case you didn't know, I was living sarcastic. A motherfucking monster, something Jurassic. Had to wrap a whole entire bed in plastic. Smoking in skin switch, fucking with raptors. Killing and drilling, and I'm sipping on the 4-0. Listen by a whole entire motherfucking torso. Oh, what a rush, sniffing some more blow. Let the bitch bleed, and I'm making a porno. I'ma keep it going a few times, or I'll pass out. Wake up in the morning, realize I'm black guy. Dude.